You guys are funny. Y'all are funny, funny, funny. So, I have been taking the live content that I do here on YouTube and taking it and turning it into shorts. Well, those shorts, obviously, I can use on a bunch of different platforms. Like, I could turn it into YouTube shorts, I can turn them into YouTube clips that you watch, obviously, on the shorts platform, but also Instagram reels, also TikToks. I can put them pretty much on any platform. And the funny thing is, that the comments like the comments on the shorts and the clips that I turn into reels are so much more, like, just so much more turn, like the comments are funny versus the YouTube videos, whether they're like long form pre-recorded content, whether it's like a 10-minute tutorial video that I do, or whether it's these lives. So 6 or 7 days ago now, I decided I'm going to go live every single day. And so I've been going live every single day, primarily on YouTube, but then also I like stream it to other platforms. And then, of course, those shorts are the ones that I'm like using afterwards. And the comments, I just wanted to make sure I replied to some or as many of them as I can today because they are funny and y'all are funny. So I'm going to start with YouTube because that's where I've been mostly going live, and then obviously I'll look at Instagram clips too. The short clips have a lot of comments that I wanted to respond to also. So I'll do as many as I can, but I know it's Father's Day. If you're celebrating, happy Father's Day. And obviously just wanted to take a little bit of time because of my live daily commitment without like being here for 2-3 hours on Father's Day. So let's do this. I'm going to jump in with a comment from Scotty Time. And this is in response to a short that I posted saying that somebody asked me about Social Security and am I worried that Social Security is going to go away? Basically, like Social Security benefits when I'm in retirement, and that we essentially won't be able to rely on Social Security benefits at all in a few decades. So I responded with a comment saying, that it's not going to go away because the majority of workers that are in this country pay payroll taxes, and payroll taxes is what funds the Social Security benefits. So the only way there would really be no Social Security is if there's no workers to pay into the tax system. That is accurate. You could literally do your own research. You don't have to take my word for it. But some of the Social Security benefits are funded by trust funds, which basically means that whenever they run out from the worker base, if there's not enough, then they fill up the rest with the trust funds. But even if trust funds run out, which is, I guess, what like major headlines were saying, the trust funds that are used to pay Social Security benefits are going to run out by 2030, 2035. Even if they do run out, we still have workers paying into the tax system. So that was my whole point. And then in the middle of that rant, I said, and by the way, undocumented workers pay taxes as well. And they pay into Social Security, but they don't benefit from that, which is, messed up. You're paying into the system, you don't benefit from it. And so there just needs to be some reform, right? Like there needs to be some changes made to create a more clear system, a more fair system. That's my opinion. But Scotty Time said, you are so wrong. Social Security payments have to match the Social Security number from the employee and then matched by the employer. Undocumented immigrants might pay income tax, but if they have no verified Social Security number, they do not pay Social Security tax, and neither do their employer. That is not correct. And the thing is, that's wild, is that in this video where the comment was posted, like a few seconds into the video, if you just pause and use your eyeballs, you will see that there's a pie chart that literally tells you the data. I'm not making up the data. I pulled it from the specific source where the government reporting on budgetary spending for everything at the federal level is reported out. This is public information. You can go look up what the government does with every single dollar that you pay taxes in. So at the federal level, there's taxes that are going to be collected. In this case, for you to say that it's lined up to only a Social Security number is not true, because a lot of undocumented workers pay taxes using individual tax identification numbers, which for sure are called ITIN. If you don't know this, you probably never met an undocumented person in your life, okay? I happen to know quite a few, and I've helped a lot of them open brokerage accounts with their ITIN and do a lot of different things. It's not such an easy process to just become documented when you're undocumented. There's so many different steps in the process. This can take years, this can take decades. It can be a lot on people. So when you make it seem like, oh, this is wrong and the employers are not even paying these taxes, first of all, that's not true. Okay. In that specific pie chart, if you look at it, there's over $30 billion being paid into what's called federal social insurance tax. If you look at federal social insurance tax, that's basically just a fancy way. You could just Google, what does this mean? It's just a fancy way of saying payroll tax. And the payroll tax, which is deducted from your paycheck by your employer every time that you get paid, that payroll tax is funding two things: Social Security and Medicare. So that data said $32 billion was paid into federal social insurance, and that specific tax funds payroll taxes, which is literally Social Security and Medicare. So undocumented workers in the United States have paid over $30 billion into payroll taxes, which fund both Social Security and Medicare. So for you to say that's not true, I don't know why you would say it's not true, and I don't know where you're getting your information from, but I know for a fact it's true, and the data proves it to be true. So there's just so much misinformation, especially right now with all of the over sensationalization of like so much of happening with immigration right now, and there's this massive mass deportation going on. And so I think a lot of people are just looking at headlines or repeating things that somebody else told them, and I just urge you not to do that. Like, just do a little bit of research and look at primary sources of information. Look at the actual budget from the federal government, and not what people on news broadcasts or TikTok channels or YouTube channels are saying is true. Go look at the actual data yourself. Even for me, when I'm up here on my YouTube channel talking about what matters to me or sharing information, you shouldn't just take what I say as a fact. Even when, whatever, when I'm on Instagram Live, when I'm on Facebook Live, wherever I am, or posting content, don't just take it for a fact because I said it. Never do that, regardless of who's talking, regardless of what you're reading. Always go to a primary source to verify that the information is true. All right. Because, y'all, there's a lot of misinformation out here. Okay. Another comment said, well, people keep telling me the 401k and the IRAs are scams. Those people, my love, they're trying to sell you insurance. Okay. They're trying to sell you life insurance. And look, we talked about this yesterday on live. We talked about this the day before yesterday on live. And I talk about this time and time again. I am not against life insurance. I have a 30-year term life insurance policy. I pay $77 a month, and it guarantees my beneficiary $1.75 million upon my death. That, unless if it expires after 30 years and I'm still alive, well, great. I paid for peace of mind for those 30 years, but I only paid $77 a month. Okay. That is peanuts compared to the amount that people pay into premiums that go towards whole life insurance policies that are really, really expensive on a monthly basis. And you have to keep paying it, because if you skip payments, well, then your policy's void. So a lot of times people like to sell life insurance policies and tell you that the life insurance policy is a wealth generating tool. It's a way to build wealth, when really all it is protecting your loved ones and protecting, if in case you pass away and they depended on your income, well, then you would be able to protect them by replacing you as a generator of income to keep things around the house, to keep food on the table, to keep the bills paid, to keep housing costs, keep transportation costs, all the things that you pay for. If they depend on you, well, then if you're gone, things are going to be really financially a struggle. But if they're able to get paid out from the insurance policy, then what you're doing is buying protection against your family and loved ones that depend on you not having access to any money to continue on. And so you got to really understand, what is the purpose of the financial products and instruments that you are looking at. The purpose of a 401k is to help you generate wealth throughout your working career, so that you can stop working one day and begin to withdraw money from your investment account, from your 401k account, in retirement, basically, so you can stop working and continue to fund your lifestyle with the money from your retirement account. That means it's a goal for you to build wealth while you're living. Life insurance is going to replace the wealth that or the income that you have when you are no longer living. So it just breaks my heart when I see a lot of these life insurance people coming online talking about 401ks are a scam and Roth IRAs are a scam. Absolutely not. They are not a scam. They are what most wealthy people, if you just look at some stats around the majority of millionaires, multimillionaires in this country, how they have built their wealth, most of them would be maxing out tax advantage accounts like 401ks and Roth IRAs, real estate, businesses, and entrepreneurship. Okay. So don't get it twisted. If somebody's trying to sell you a life insurance policy, make sure that that person is actually trying to sell you something that works for your situation, and do your research on that policy or that whatever it is they're trying to sell you, and make sure that that person is legit. Make sure that they're fiduciary. Make sure that they are fee only. Make sure that they're actually looking out for your best interest, because a lot of times what they're trying to do is convince you that these plans are a scam so that they can sell you one that's presumably not a scam, right? But the ones that they're selling you, they get commissions if you sign up, which means they make money when you sign up for an insurance policy with them. When you sign up for your 401k, I don't make no money. When you sign up for a Roth IRA and you start funding it, I don't make no damn money. I'm not here trying to make money off of you when you open a Roth IRA or 401k. You stand to benefit from that. That's for your own retirement while you're living and breathing on this earth. While most life insurance policies that are being sold to you, some, of course, might have some cash value stuff attached to it, but a lot of that stuff is very complex, complicated, and misleading in making you think that you're going to be able to tap a bunch of money while you're alive, and that tends to not usually be the case. So don't listen to nobody out here trying to tell you that 401ks and Roth IRAs are a scam, because they are not. That person is probably trying to sell you something, and it's probably a life insurance policy that if you were to sign up, they get paid a cute little commission. Okay. So don't just, it's very important for you to be aware that a lot of people who have, they have their own personal motives, like they want to make money by selling you something, right? If they get you into a policy, they get paid. So what they do is they try to use the language of financial literacy and generational wealth building, right? They try to call it financial education, financial empowerment, financial literacy, money management, all of these like hot terms and like buzzwords from actual financial quality information and education. They take it and they use it to promote stuff and sell stuff that puts money in their pocket, makes them a profit, instead of actually being what's best for you. So when it comes to that, make sure that you're working with somebody who's fiduciary, who's looking out for your best interest, who's credentialed, who's actually certified. And a lot of, even unfortunately, sometimes a lot of the certified people be shady too. So you have to really do your research. And also, when it comes to investing, you want to make sure that that person is, I like to say fee only, but I would even push it further to say advice only, which means that they don't manage the money for you. They just give you advice about how to manage your own wealth, and they don't get paid to manage your money for you, because usually that comes with either they charge you a percentage in assets under management, which for sure is AUM. That means they take, 1% or 0.6% or whatever percentage of all of your assets. So what you contribute plus any gains. Or they say that they're fee based, which means that, yeah, you pay them a fee, but they also may still be getting commissions as well. And again, whenever somebody's getting a commission, that means they're incentivized to sell more, sell more, sell more products, sell more mutual funds, sell more life insurance policies, because the more they sell, the more money they put into their own pocket through commissions. So if somebody's interested in just that, the more money they put into their pocket from commissions, I personally would say there's a conflict of interest there. And I think most financial experts would say there's a conflict of interest there. Okay, next comment. Let's see. But can you access your 401k though if you're not 65? Yeah, well, first of all, you can access it when you're 59 and a half. You don't have to wait to be 65. And I know that's not that different for some people who are like, maybe 21 thinking about this. But I think this question is more so focusing on like the penalties. If you take it out before 59 and a half, you have to pay a 10% penalty. And, and if it's a if it's a tax advantage account where you are going to owe taxes, you also have to pay income tax, plus you have to pay the 10% penalty. Now, if it's a Roth account and you took the money out too early, well, then you have to pay 10%. Then you have to pay the 10% income, the 10% income, the 10% penalty, but you've already paid your income taxes on a Roth, so you don't have to pay it later. So this is important to know, like the differences between these different types of accounts. I would say for this person, you might want to look at a Roth conversion ladder, because that's probably the main way that my personal financial plan like includes that, a Roth conversion ladder, because that's probably one of the easiest ways to start dipping into your retirement funds without having to be 59 and a half. But you do gotta plan really, really early, like ahead of time. So if you know that you want to start pulling money out when you're 40, you're going to have to make a conversion when you're 35, because you got to wait 5 years. The IRS has a 5-year waiting period between when you convert money into your Roth IRA to when you can take it out tax-free and penalty-free. So this is really, really important. When you make a conversion, basically what it means is that you're going to take money from another investment account, let's say a 401k or a traditional IRA, and you're going to convert that money into your Roth IRA account. When you make a conversion, the year that you convert, it's going to be taxable income. So that's the first thing you also got to plan for. And that's also something you have to plan for. So the first thing is you got to do this 5 years before you actually need the money. And the second thing is you have to make sure that you plan to set aside cash, because you're going to owe taxes on that conversion. You're going to go income taxes on the conversion. So if you convert $100,000 out of your 401k into your Roth IRA this year, well, then when you file taxes, you're going to owe whatever your tax, whatever your tax percentage is. Let's say the average is probably like 14% in the US, maybe 13 or 14%, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that. But say it's 14%, the average tax paid in the US. Well, then you're going to have to make sure you have $14,000 saved up to pay that income taxes that you owe on that conversion amount of 100,000. But then 5 years from now, you can start tapping that 100,000, taking that out to live on it without having to worry about penalties, because you're not 59 and a half years old anymore. And you don't have to worry about income taxes because you already paid it when you did the conversion. So a Roth conversion ladder is probably the best thing I could say to start looking up if you think you might want to take money out of the 401k before you're 59 and a half. Don't let that stop you from contributing to your 401k, especially if you have a 401k match. If you got a 401k match, you should definitely do everything you can at least to try to get that match. And then, of course, you can go you can go to the Roth IRA next, or whatever, other accounts, but try and get that full match at least. And if you can afford to max it out, don't be worried that, oh, the money's trapped in there. You can do a Roth conversion ladder. You just need time. You need a plan 5 years ahead of time or more. And you need a plan for the taxes that you're going to have to pay during the year that you make the conversion. All right, I think that was everything for that question. If I think of other things, I'll come back to it. All right, let's see. But will having a Roth IRA for a child or a minor create an additional effect on their financial aid? Is this considered an asset? This is a really good question. This was on Instagram from Luma_Muma, but also I got the same question from Yegas1216. How will this affect their ability to get financial aid or any aid when attending college? This is a very common concern, that if my teenager or my kid is earning income and they open a Roth IRA, a custodial Roth IRA, because they're under 18, then that's going to hurt their chances of getting financial aid when it's time to apply to college. This is not true. This is 100% false. And the reason why it's not true is because the money is sheltered. It's protected. You got to think about it kind of like a turtle shell. It's like a hard protective shell on it. Why? Because it's a retirement account. Retirement assets are protected in this country. You cannot look at retirement assets when you're doing the financial aid calculation for a college student. So this is super important. And the same thing is true for other social programs or benefits. For example, if you're going to apply for food stamps, or if you're going to apply for housing subsidies, they cannot look at your retirement assets when they consider that, because it's not part of your, actual ability to spend money on those things on your own. The money is for retirement. Now, in the case of college students, I love recommending, especially to my BIPOC, low income, and especially children who are children of immigrants, this is the perfect thing to open a custodial Roth IRA and put your savings in there. You have to have earned income. So you got to get a JOB. But if you put your earnings, some of your earnings in there, make sure not to pass the maximum amount that's allowed for 2025. That's $7,000. So most teenagers don't even afford $5,000. If you put that money into the Roth IRA, your custodial Roth IRA, then you're basically making sure that it doesn't hurt you when it comes to your financial aid. And if you're low income, you need every single dollar of financial aid that you are eligible for, that you qualify to receive. So you file your FAFSA, they look at all of your assets except retirement assets. They look at your check account, they look at your savings account, they ask for how much cash you have, they look at your parents' bank accounts, they look at your parents' income, they look at your parents' income tax forms. They cannot and will not look at retirement assets. This is another reason why I love recommending a custodial Roth IRA to teenagers. I mean, this is just facts. Like, I can't make this stuff up. Like, this stuff is from the IRS policies. This is from the rules, official rules of having these accounts. It's not me making this up. I mean, I wish I could make it up, but it's not me. All right, let's see. Okay, the next thing is hilarious. I got a lot of comments from people saying, am I mental? Am I insane? Have I lost my marbles? Because I was saying that children, no matter what age, 10 years old, 5 years old, 13, 15, can go and get earned income, work a job, and then use their money, a little piece of their paycheck, to put into their custodial Roth IRA. Even, especially if they're under 18, they can still do this. And so people were saying, are you mental? You can't do this with children. Somebody specifically said, what 10-year-old has earned passive income? First of all, it doesn't have to be passive income. I just said earned income. Like, you can earn income doing anything. You can earn income babysitting. You can earn income with a lemonade stand. You can earn income with a car washing service. You can earn income with a what you call it? A lawn mowing business. I didn't have a lawn. I grew up in Brooklyn. We didn't have grass in the front of our home. But if you do see grass in the front of people's homes, you can go and offer to mow their lawn and get paid for that. You don't have to be 15, 16 to do that. You could do that at 11 years old. You could do that at 12 years old, right? Now, the majority of jobs that children tend to work, especially if they're really, really young, like in diapers, babies, is going to be modeling, acting, right? Entertainment industry. So, and social media. Like, if you have a social media following and you make money off of that, hello, you should definitely be maxing out a Roth IRA every year, especially if you're making a good amount from social media. Like, one easy example is Ryan, that kid from Ryan's Toys Reviews, that freaking second or third most successful YouTube channel ever. This kid was 11 years old in 2022. And that year, at the age of 11, he made over $30 million, okay, from his social media, from everything, right? From his YouTube channel, from his sponsorships, from brand deals, from all kinds of stuff that this kid worked on. He has licenses that, certain toy companies can use Ryan's Toys Review to promote their toys. Okay, all of that 30 million plus whatever is an 11-year-old kid making that money. Now, I'm sure his family is involved, of course, right? But the point is, the child is the face of the channel and he's 11. So if you think about all the different ways that kids can make money nowadays, there's more opportunity than ever with social media. Any kid can have a social media channel and call themselves an influencer and, review toys, or just talk about their road trip with their family, or just read books and review books, whatever. All of that can lead to income that eventually you can use to fund a custodial Roth IRA. Okay. And even if it's not generating income on its own, if your intention is to generate business, then technically you're running a business. So you could do a photo shoot and use that photo shoot to promote the channel, or to promote the kids, reviews, or to promote whatever other work they're doing. And that's work that is fully legal and totally above board if you use that to, take the cash from that and fund the custodial Roth IRA. So I just feel like it's really funny to me how there were so many negative comments on these videos. I wouldn't say negative, but like just doubtful, right? Like, people just were hating a little bit. All right, let me look at the comments over here in this live, because I'm all looking at the comments from yesterday's post instead of focusing on you guys that are here with me live. So let's take a look. All right, we got Jerry is back. What's up? Daisy says hello. Hey Daisy, what's up? Yeah, be careful with some whole life insurance companies. 100%. Daisy, I could not have said it better myself. Be careful. Jay Davis is back. The only reason I have whole life is through my employer. Once she does a live on term insurance, I plan to switch. You know what? That's a good point. A lot of times people get into insurance policies because it's a workplace benefit. So, whatever workplace benefit you have, just be aware that it's only in effect while you work for that employer because it is a workplace policy, right? Workplace benefit. So when you're not working there anymore, you won't have those benefits anymore. So that's why it's really important. Even if you are covered by a life insurance policy through your job, don't let that be the only protection that you have, the only insurance that you have. You should still have something outside that will protect you, regardless if you're still employed there or not. All right, let's see. Miss Be Helpful still dropping gems. Channel's huge now since I discovered you in 2018. Oh my God, Boston Samus. Thank you so much for that. That's wild. Like pre-COVID, bro. And I only really started making videos in 2015. So you probably got in what 3 years after I started. So you were definitely watching me back in my broke days when I had a rinky dinky apartment and I was like super minimalist because I had to be because I had no choice, right? I was really focusing on trying to maximize my wealth building at that time because I had just got out of debt in 2015 and I had paid off $20,000 of credit card debt. And my big goal was to try to come up with 20,000 of savings now. Like I didn't want to pay off 20,000 and then, just my net worth is now zero. Woohoo. Yeah, okay, but most 3, 4 year olds have a net worth of zero. I didn't want to be the same as a 3 or 4 year old at the age of 23, 24. So I wanted to really focus on like aggressively building my wealth. That's when I started learning about investing. That's when I opened my Roth IRA. That's when I started opening a regular brokerage account. And, once I maxed out my Roth IRA and put as much as I could in my 403B at that time, 403B, and then eventually 401k, I started putting money in a regular brokerage account too. So I wish all of these things were things that I knew earlier in my life, I gotta say, because I came to it when I came to it, and it's fine. But for me, the way that I really got hooked into it was reading as many books as I could. I mean, I was like devouring book after book after book. The Simple Path to Wealth by J.L. Collins is a big one that I read early on. The Millionaire Next Door was an incredible one. If you haven't read that one, Your Money or Your Life, it's a classic by Vicky Robin and Joe Dominguez. There's so many books, but those classic early ones definitely helped me. And then it kind of inspired me to start making YouTube videos and putting content on Instagram because I felt like that's great. I'm learning from all these people, but like none of them talk like me. None of them had a similar experience to me. None of them were people of color or children of immigrants or grew up low income. Like it was very hard for me to feel like relatable to some of the things they said and some of the words they used and some of the stories they told. And so I wanted to just make sure like I continue. I kind of like running a relay race, like, but they pass you the baton and you have to pass it to the next. I wanted to take the baton of like financial knowledge and pass it on to people that I know actually are going to be listening for a different spin on it. Like people that I know probably are not going to like read those books, or if they read the books, they won't enjoy them. So that's why I wrote my book the way that I did. My book is written in very much in a way where it's like, we're just sitting down talking, having a conversation, a chit chat, just like this live, right? It's not written in a way where it feels like you're reading a textbook, right? That was a big goal of mine. Like I did not want my book to feel like it reads like a textbook. So hopefully that comes across in my book. I've gotten a lot of feedback from people that it does feel like they are talking to me. So that's good. But yeah, that is definitely something that I feel like I really, it took me like a while to make sure that I got that right balance of the right tone, but also the information that I felt like was helpful and accurate and important. All right. Keep up the great work. By the way, options trading education equals fire. You know what? I'm not even mad at you. That's kind of like the next level up. I really do think though that we got to emphasize the basics, right? If you want to eventually graduate on to the most advanced stuff, right? The derivatives basically is what you're talking about. Fine. But do not go into derivatives right now if you don't know the difference between a Roth IRA and a traditional IRA. If you don't know if your employer has a 401k match, if you don't know the difference between an ETF and an index fund, if you don't know what a mutual fund is, like you ain't got no business swimming in derivatives if you don't have the basics down. That's the only problem I have with a lot of the content out there about Forex, options, just trading stocks. Like, Can we get the basics down? Most people in America, most people around the world don't know basic financial literacy. And you're over here trying to plug the more complex, advanced, high risk type of stuff. Come on. Like, let's get people the basics. Let's all get the foundational stuff. If you then have mastered the foundational basics and you're looking for more and you want to graduate up to the next complex level, go ahead, be my guest. But like, be for real. Make sure you have grasped and mastered the basics. And not only mastered them, but implemented and applied it in your actual life. Like, that's huge. All right. I love your book. I'm going to read it for the second time. Yes. You know what, Daisy? I actually have a lot of people who told me that. The first time they read it, they just read it. They giggled. They like, more so for the stories. And then the second time they read it, they were like, all right, you know what? For real, this time I'm going to like apply and I'm going to really take the information about what I need to change in my own finances. So, I love that. I love that. Read it as many times as you need to. And it's very much broken into chapters that you can go back to a certain chapter if you need to. You don't have to read the whole book again. If you're specifically working on your credit, go to the credit chapter. If you just want to focus on investing, go to chapter 7. Like, if you're specifically looking for something, a debt repayment journey or like changing your money mindset, go just to the chapters that really focus on that. Because I wrote the book like that, to be like Legos. Like, you could put it together and come back to just one piece that's going to help you. You don't have to always go back from page 1 all the way to the back cover, unless you want to. If you want to, be my guest. That's not a problem at all. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for all these compliments. Y'all are so sweet. I'm going to wrap it up just because, again, it's Father's Day. I know y'all should be spending time with your dads if you can, or spending time with your kids if you are a dad, if you can. So we're going to wrap it up. But I'll be back again on live tomorrow. I'm not exactly sure what time, because tomorrow I do have to travel. I'm going to be traveling to Texas for some of the financial literacy education work that I do and some of the teacher training. I'm going to be in a couple of different cities in Texas. So I'm excited for my trip. But because of that, I might either join before I go to the airport, or I might join live like when I get to the hotel that I check into. So we'll see what works out. But just stay tuned. I'll try to post a heads up when I'm going to go live before I go live. But yeah, thanks everybody. Appreciate y'all. And I'll see you at the next one.